that a goer?
It's not a goer. I've been going around the country last week. I have a nationwide campaign. It brings people together over a pint. And I've been going up to Manchester, down to Taunton, Exeter. I've been across the country, and the fever out there is anger, sheer anger. I've heard people talking about civil disobedience. I've heard of people, wanting to send a message to the government. They're not stupid people, they're really not.
And you're talking about Leavers here?
Yes, absolutely. My group is called Leavers of Britain, and basically we're a group of people that voted Leave in the EU referendum that want to get together and do something about it.
But are they also behind Theresa May in the sense that she says people just want her to get on with it and just want to do the deal?
She just wants to get on with it. I think she just wants to get rid of it. She doesn't, the people have that feeling, and she's trying to piggyback on that feeling.
That's only one group of people, though. If you look at the polling, it's sort of split into a third. There's definitely a third of people, maybe the people that come to your meetings, who feel like that. But there's lots of other people that don't feel like that. There's lots of people that just want Brexit to go away. And there's also lots of people that want Brexit to be stopped. And they're sort of divided roughly into thirds. And again, you have an impact.
This means we have to get the message out there that this deal is so bad for our sovereignty and democracy, that sort of middle ground you're talking about that just want to get on with it. We have to make it very clear to them what's at stake here.
But do you think it's worse than staying in the EU?
I mean, I think if we're going to go into different shades of what is bad...
like the Dominic Raab question.
I mean, it is bad. I mean, beforehand we were in a sort of a weird harem, and now we're outside chained to a lamppost.
But it's an important question, because what you might find in making this argument is that middle those middle people, sort of, they swing the other way and go, yeah, you're right, this isn't a good deal, let's just stay in the EU. And you might find that Brexiteers lose their big prize.
I think, what we've seen is that since Brexit has happened, what we've done is uncovered a situation where we can now see how much sovereignty and democracy we've got. And Gibraltar's going to be seeing it as well, as they try and fight the EU on the topic of Gibraltar, and Spain's going to fight over it. They're going to see that our sovereignty and their sovereignty is at stake here.
Right, so would you rather remain in the EU than see this deal go through?
Both is bad, and I will fight. Sorry, I can't. It's difficult between those two.
There are a lot of, I know a lot of senior Brexiteers who in private say, yes, this is worse than staying in, but to actually say that out loud, you sort of shock yourself.
Dominic Raab has said it out loud.
He does, and others might be available. All it takes is somebody like you to ask the question. They wouldn't volunteer it.
What do you think,
But if you grill somebody...
What do you think?
What do I think? Right now, I wish that I could find ways of being more positive about your deal. You see so many interpretations of it. But right now, to stay in the EU, at least you can get out of that.
I mean,
if her deal is something that's inescapable, then yes, it's worse.
So you'd rather stay in?
Sorry, I think maybe a mistake that we're making is that we're treating politicians who are Brexiters and people who voted for Brexit as being one and the same and as having the same interests. I think those two things are completely different. I think the social forces that drove Brexit are very diffuse, and one of them isn't so much about sovereignty, but it's about democracy. It's about the ability to change your immediate political situation with the power of your vote. Now that you're having to come up with some precise institutional arrangements, that sense of momentum goes away, but the lingering frustration with our democratic process remains. And so I actually don't think that it's as clear-cut as saying this is what Brexiters want. I think there's a lot of different things.
In my opinion, having a group that is of thousands, they all want an independent country.
Freedom of movement will end, won't it? Does that please them?
They don't mention it a lot. My group doesn't mention it a lot at all.
That's the big difference, actually, between the Tory Brexiteers who didn't really care about freedom of movement and the people Ash is talking about, like the Labour Brexiteers. For them, it was a far bigger deal. So Theresa May, I suspect, when she does her public sell, she will be talking about freedom of movement the whole time.
To appeal to Labour.
Yeah, but Tories...
and it was in the manifesto, of course, as well. And as Fraser said, that will bring some of those Labour leavers on board.
An interesting thing about that much vaunted Survation polling from a couple of weeks ago was that over 60% of respondents said that they would be okay with essentially keeping freedom of movement, reciprocal arrangements between the UK and EU for citizens to work and live in each other's countries, if it meant getting a better deal. So like I said, these social forces are quite volatile.
We're going to leave it there, although we're going to continue talking about Brexit, because in a moment we'll be joined by Brendan Brown from the band Wheatus. He's touring the UK and...